Hey everyone, welcome to another match of Temur Delver. Today we're playing Mono Green Hardened Scales. Match 1 of 3. Total of 3 matches today. So our opening hand was not so good. We had the mulligan there. This hand is just barely keepable, thanks to Serum Visions. I guess Uro as well, but Uro is not really an early game threat. So, yeah, both those cards are good. Now, what I should have done... no, I take that back. Well, I was going to say I should have put Temur on top, but that doesn't really make sense. It wouldn't really have made a difference here. So, our opponent has a land with Graft. Interestingly enough, it triggers off of any creature, not just theirs. So here I'm thinking, okay, well, I have too many threats now. So I'm gonna keep that Temur at the bottom. So anytime I see Metallic Mimic, I cringe because I know exactly why that's brought in, and it's essentially a card that says get rid of me ASAP, and I'm going to. For the reason that you see on the screen right now. So stupid. So stupid. I took a second here to think of what I want to get rid of, but realistically, there's really just one thing I want to get rid of, and it's Metallic Mimic. Yep. Yeah, that's just me looking. I'm like, what? What did they just do on turn 2? What am I looking at right now? So we're going to swing in first, see what they do here. Nothing. Fine. Then Temur is going to come down. Luckily, since we're playing against artifacts here, Temur is going to be a big boy. Which is great. It's already a 5/6, so not really complaining. Arcbound Ravager. Alright. Well, that's a thing. Now, even though we got rid of Metallic Mimic, we are still in danger. So we need to figure out what we want to do here. So our opponent already sacrificed Hangerback Walker to get the flying tokens. And now Arcbound Ravager is just getting bigger. So we're going to play Manamorphose here, get our Stormwing a bit bigger. See what we draw. Mana Leak. Not that important at the moment. I think Uro is, though. We draw Tirefire, which is actually not irrelevant. It's not irrelevant at all. It's going to make our Temur even bigger once it hits the graveyard, which is great. So let's attack in and see what our opponent is going to do here. See if they think they can outmatch us on the battlefield. Yeah, I think I just need to swing. I need to swing, and Tirefire ends up being a combat trick. Because again, once I cast it, whether I'm going to be targeting my opponent or one of their creatures, Temur is going to become a 6/7, I believe. So that's all our opponent does. And of course they're going to sacrifice them so they don't go to waste. And my question is our opponent going to sacrifice Arcbound and then put all the counters on the flying token? This is where Tirefire comes into play, and this is why I attacked him. So now, what we do is we kill the flying Thopter, and our opponent concedes. Yep, that's game 1. They just got rid of their board, and that's what you got to do. You got to play smart. You know, if you never played in the era where Affinity was a thing in Modern, plays like that would seem like genius plays. But for anyone that did play during that era, you know that's just basically standard. That's what you do. You wait until they sacrifice their Arcbound to target a creature, and then you kill that creature before the effect resolves. And that essentially cost them the game, which is fine. It's great. So what do we want to do here? Removing some permission to make room for some more removal. I think that's pretty smart. Force of Negation not as important here. A lot of our opponent's spells are going to be creature spells. Oh boy, that opening hand. Huh. Yeah. Alright, well, it's got Lightning Bolt. Alright, the Ozolith is something. That's gonna give us some headaches. Yeah, I gotta read that card over and over again. So, Hangerback Walker comes down. Do we just get rid of it right now? Question is yes. So we draw Force of Negation, not necessarily a card we need. Now we're going to get our free Stormwing Entity. Well, technically free. Delver. Yeah, I don't think we need Delver at the moment. What we really need is another land. That is pretty key at the moment. Dismember. Alright, well, for once, Force of Negation is actually going to come in handy here. Lucky me. Definitely a sideboard card. So now the Ozolith is going to allow our opponent to play around with counters, 1+1/+1 counters. We got our other land, obviously, which is what we're planning on doing. So, yeah, that's just me reading that card. You could tell I was perplexed. I was like, ugh. Okay, the counters are going to go there. We do get our second Stormwing Entity, though. Lightning Bolt, definitely a card we want. Delver of Secrets, not so much. So we swing in for 4. Our opponent's going to eat it. They have no choice. Next turn, I believe we have lethal. Or almost lethal. We're down by 1. But it really depends what our opponent plays here. Oh, no, we have lethal next turn. It really depends, though. If our opponent puts something in the air, oh, yeah, like that. That's a different story. Okay, so our opponent literally drew or had exactly what they needed for us not to kill him next turn, because we would have played Lightning Bolt, Serum Visions, boom boom, done. But we're gonna play Serum Visions. Get 2/4/4 Stormwings. We draw Uro, which is pretty cool. Tarmogoyf might be the backup that we need, so yeah, that stays on top. So we're going to attack in and see what our opponent does here. We have Lightning Bolt to deal with that Arcbound trick again, so let's see what happens. If our opponent doesn't block... Yeah, I made a mistake there. So, this is me still getting used to how MTGO presents phases. I thought that when I said okay on the block phase, I was still going to get an option to do something before the block phase ended. I would have killed them. I mean, that was lethal. I would have bolted them in the face, both Stormwings would have gotten bigger again, and it would have been over. And that essentially cost me the game. Spoiler alert. So this would have been a 2-0. And unfortunately, we're not going to get the 2-0. And right now, just FYI, I literally was hitting myself in the head. Literally, like very hard, because I was so pissed. I just wanted to get this stupid game over with, and I couldn't believe what just happened. Lethal in hand, and now our opponent's going off with their friggin' cards, with their artifacts, and yep, that's my life. I mean, listen, misplays happen, but this wasn't really a misplay. I wanted to play Lightning Bolt. I was ready to play Lightning Bolt, and the interface, and I'm going to blame the interface rightfully so here. I just didn't read it correctly. And that's that. And now they have a big-ass Arcbound Ravager. And we have to deal. And here, I mean, I normally ignore chat. I'm not necessarily someone who likes chatting. Even if I see a chat notification, I just won't look at it. No offense to anybody. But here, I was fuming at myself. Just calling myself an idiot. And leaving, you know, red marks on my forehead from smacking myself. It's just so frustrating. Anyway, fine. Punted game 2. Let's go to game 3. I think overall we're well matched here. This is definitely a keep. Wow, pretty good hand. Only thing that would have made this hand better was if Mana Leak was Manamorphose. So let's see. A Braid's going to be pretty good because we're going to be able to handle essentially anything our opponent plays, because all they play is artifacts. So we got Delver of Secrets. Alright, Inkmoth Nexus, that's a thing. Unfortunately, I got Welding Jar. So that's going to put a dent. At this point, I'd rather just get rid of Welding Jar now, so I might just bait him out with a Braid. We'll see if I do that. Yep, that's what I thought. So I'm going to get rid of Ozlith. They don't use Welding Jar. In a way, I'm happy. But I had no choice there. I mean, the longer I waited, the worse it was going to get. So I'd rather bait out a Welding Jar trigger as early as possible. They seem to have cards in their hand they'd rather protect more. But I'm okay with that. Arcbound Worker comes down. Oh, I haven't seen that card in a while. So now we play Serum Visions. Yes, we do. Alright. Tarfire, top, definitely. Manamorphose, top as well. Let's see what our opponent's got. Nada. So we got two good scries there. Or 2 cards that we scried. Those were good. Those are 2 cards we wanted. Alright, let's see what's coming down here. Walking Ballista. Let me guess. They are going to pop it off immediately. Oh, alright. Much to my chagrin. So here we're just going to attack in first before we reveal what we're going to do. No reason to main phase our Mana of Force Storming play. I mean, I'd rather them at this point get rid of Delver so that we can play Storming Entity a bit more comfortably. So we know we're going to get our Tarfire here. We're going to scry these 2. Well, we probably want to keep the Forest. Oh, no. Okay, I decided to keep the fetch. Alright, that's fine. Yeah, I kept the fetch because I already have a green source, and I need 1 extra blue source, given the cards I have. So, alright, that's fair. So, obviously, we're not going to block here. I'm going to let that through. Another Arcbound Worker. Alright, so we get our fetch. And again, we're going to attack in, see what they do. Alright, well, there goes Inkmoth Nexus. Yep. Let's get rid of Inkmoth Nexus. And we can counter it. Well, I mean, now they're going to use Welding Jar, so yes. But it's going to remove Inkmoth Nexus from play, which is also important. And now we can play our second Storming Entity. Oh, okay. I didn't. I want to keep Mana Leak up. Interesting. Huh. Huh. Alright. Interesting play. Okay, no, I think our opponent just saw that. Yeah, they had nothing out. They had no outs there. Alright, cool. Yeah, we had our opponent there again. We had our opponent in game 2. If I just had read the interface a bit more clearly, it would have been over. But it is what it is. It had to go to game 3, and either way we got him. Yeah, they're very reminiscent of Affinity. Honestly, I know they consider decks like this under the Hardened scale, subtype or archetype, but this is very reminiscent of Affinity, and good on you for trying to get Affinity to work. Before I was a Temur guy, during the Temur craze, I did veer off into Affinity, and I went all in on Affinity for a while. So it's nice to see decks like this still around, although I have to admit I'm not really happy playing against it at all the time. But Temur Delver is very well positioned in general to deal with decks like this. You have a lot of removal main board, you have extra removal on the side, you can attack the lands depending on the type of lands your opponents are playing. Yeah, we have everything that we really need here, so it's just a matter of being a bit lucky and ensuring our opponent's not just having an explosive start like we saw in game 1. So I hope you enjoyed that match. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you enjoy my content in general, please subscribe, hit notification bell, follow me on Twitter. I put out a lot of different types of content. I do giveaways, so following me on Twitter is going to be important if you want to keep up with that. I do giveaways often. It's really part of what the channel is now. And yeah, check out my Patreon as well. A big thank you to all my current patrons for your early support. I just revamped the tiers, so check those out. I'm essentially guaranteeing that you will receive rares and mythics in the mail every year, with a special emphasis on them not being bulk. And special patrons, which I will select at random, will also get an extra bonus card, which will have even bigger value, let's say $50 or more. And these are all cards that I open on screen, by the way, so you'll see these prize pools before they're ever sent out and given out to you. So check that out. There's a link in the description. Thanks, and have a good one.